All right. Wow. That was way more complicated than it should have been. I don't know why the links you sent me on the calendar just did not have any Zoom. They didn't have an HTTP in them.
Okay, that could be
It
Google
doesn't matter. I'm here now.
is trying to steal Zoom's business. Um, so, anyways, you found it now. How are things going?
Well, not too bad.
I like your jacket.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I used to be in the Air Cadets when I was a kid for about 7 or 8 years.
Okay, I was in the Air Cadets as well, 818 Squadron.
Oh, 631 Squadron.
Okay.
What was yours out of?
Um, um, Jarvis, the armories.
Oh yeah, there, yeah.
I was in both actually because I was with the Army Cadets. Then joined the Royal Regiment of Canada.
Hmm.
The guys with the bear hats that
Yep,
were 10 feet high.
that's fun.
Yeah, the Army Reserves. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed the war games. You could really get into trouble with that. So
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun. We did a lot of stuff in the summer where we got to do lots of practice war game kind of stuff, even as cadets, and it's definitely all sets of wonderful memories as a kid. I didn't take the opportunity to get my free pilot's license, which of course I stab myself at now. But
yeah, I was offered that as well, and started, but didn't follow through.
yeah, no,
But we did go fixed wing glider a few times.
yeah, it's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, and then 15 years ago, I decided to get my hang glider pilot's license.
Oh,
So
nice.
that was a lot of fun. Haven't done it since, but
No,
no, I was actually thinking of buying my own hang glider at one point. Then I saw someone crash into a tree, and I thought, maybe not,
maybe not. No.
maybe
Yeah,
not.
the gliding was a lot of fun. I think I've done a couple. I know someone who has a plane, so he's let me fly his little Cessna a few times.
Wow.
Because he knew I did air cats, and I did a little bit of practice, and there's not much damage you can do very quickly when they're sitting next to you. So it's flying is definitely one of my favorite things to do.
Okay, I remember we used to go flying almost every weekend, and I remember our pilot doing dipsy doodles um, and buzzing the tower.
Oh no.
I don't think you could do that anymore.
No, I don't think you can. No.
Yeah. Well, the advantage of being older than you, we could see the people inside having dinner, and we'd go around a couple of times. Like, I don't think we
That's
were
pretty close. That's
have
like almost dangerously
looking at
close.
people having dinner and stuff, and that was
Uh,
amazing.
it's like the days before seatbelts, right?
Yeah, yeah, concussions and yeah. So
But
how's the
otherwise, I'm fine. I've just come back from getting some plastic surgery, so um, it's been useful to be away from the grind to kind of see a couple other things and focus on some other stuff, and just see how the team performs without me there all the time, which is nice.
okay? And how are things going?
They're doing quite well. The projects seem to be going to track. We have our little powwow call in the morning. They seem to be pretty astute and on the ball. Everything's getting finished on time. Robin's doing her job as she should be. Things are getting booked. So I'm like, oh, maybe I could spend a little less time here and do a little more planning and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it's an amazing observation.
Yeah.
Lots of business owners never have that awakening. I'm glad you did.
Yeah, and I've noticed it before, but then you get in the fray and you get like, well, if I do all these things, I save money. And sometimes saving money is not really the right idea. It's trying to get as far forward and leverage things as much as possible is the right idea.
Yeah. Sometimes when you try and save too much money, it costs you a lot of money, especially in
Yeah.
growth.
Yeah, exactly. I bottlenecked myself many times.
Yeah. And when you step back and you can embrace your visionary role, that's when you really start growing. When you respect your people enough to trust them, everybody tends to benefit, assuming, of course, you have the right people, right?
Yep.
So, I don't want to focus on the financial stuff right now. I want to sit down and talk to you about the financial stuff. I don't want to talk too much about it because I understand where or why it's happening.
Mm-hmm.
You have some profit leaks that need to be addressed, but I believe they best can be addressed with rebranding and specialization on some jobs and the cookie cutter process and growing the team and so on. So there's only so much you can do in the position that you find yourself in today. So there's no point in talking about what could have been. We can address that as the company grows.
Yep.
So one of the things that I want to talk about today is opportunities. And one of the things that I want to talk about is Wow One Day Painting, because I think we can learn a lot from that company. When you look at statistics, as an example, the average painting company takes 20 to 30 years to get to 800,000 or $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Google statistics show. 20 to 30 years to get to 800 or 1,000 or $1 million. And when people reach $1 million, they believe they've made it, right? They are successful. But when you look at Wow One Day Painting, the last statistics, the last revenue numbers that I've seen were 38 million. And I suspect they're hovering at around 100 million right now.
They are a sub branch of Just Got Junk, if I believe correctly.
Yeah.
And actually looked into the Just Got Junk model, and the way they operate their business is very attractive in how they've distributed operations with everything. They have a gigantic call center and just essentially service providers distributed out. They
Yeah.
have to have something similar with with this One Day Painting.
All right. So what I want to talk about is, why is it one company can do 100 million in the painting business and 99.99999% do under $1 million in the same industry, right? So, and I think once we start deep diving into that and we start seeing some of the solutions between the two different companies, then we can start using some of the business tools to help you grow and get your business to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you some ideas.
Yep. Just want to say I'm very much on board with this. I have believed that siloing out some of the most successful things and treating them differently was the way to grow the business, and getting rid of all the profit leaking services, as you mentioned.
Okay, well, it's not really profit leaking services. What I look at, and when you look at the percentage of change and you multiply that percentage of change by your revenue, your total revenue, you get a profit leak. Because what that is doing is not comparing you to outside forces or outside companies, it's comparing you to you. So every year, compare that average to the next year or the previous year, then either you did better or worse.
Yeah.
What you have to understand is, if you did something for a whole year as an average, let's assume it's good, then next year you don't maintain it for whatever reason, that's considered a profit leak.
Okay.
But we'll go into it more deeply, because I don't want to talk about financials right now, because the financials are not relevant now if we're going to rebrand. If we're not going to rebrand, then we definitely need to look at the financials, okay, and fix some of the profit leaks, because some of the profit leaks could be funding your expansion. So have to do both, but by doing both is to specialize. So in other words, we do, as an example, we do a special for bedroom painting, right? It's normally, $1,500 to paint a bedroom. We're going to do it for $995 or something, right?
Yeah.
And you promote that, and you have one crew or three crews all doing painting. And you
Yeah.
can even go a little deeper on that and say, we're going to paint the latest color, the latest designer color is this green or purple or whatever it is. So we're going to paint one of your bedrooms this color, and that way it becomes a conveyor belt or cookie cutter process. So in other words, you buy that green paint in 5-gallon pails.
Yeah.
You don't have to wash the brush, you don't have to wash the roller, you just bag everything, go to the next job, you do the same thing. So you become very efficient at it, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's what I mean by marketing or cookie cutter process. And when you do that, instead of doing one room a day, now you're doing 3 a day. One guy is doing it, and now you become very efficient at it. Okay. For TV, hanging TVs. You have one crew, all he does is hang TVs, right?
Yeah. No, I have about 9 things that I want to apply what you're speaking of to.
Yeah. It really stems from the marketing side, right?
Yeah.
And when that could be a lost leader or a very profitable lost leader, because now you're doing volume and you're doing efficiencies and you're doing efficiency studies on them. And that one project, the client's going to say, wow, you guys were amazing. What else can you do?
Yeah.
Right? That could lead to 2 or 3 other jobs, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll talk about efficiencies on another call. I want to get started on rebranding because I believe we should be doing a lot of testing, because I don't think we should do anything without testing everything at least 10,000 times. So you understand how we work. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen, and keep in mind, this is being recorded, so you don't have to take notes.
Yeah. And I'm just going to move you to a larger screen that does not have a camera in it, so I won't be looking directly at you, but I'm still paying attention.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so branding and differentiation, I believe, is the cornerstone of any business. When you look at a 50 million, 100 million, or billion-dollar business, you can bet differentiation and branding is a big part of it. And part of that branding is community. Community is crucial because people want to do business with successful people in their community, right? If they see your trucks all the time, they're more likely to call you because you need to hit them, at least 10 times. So they see your online marketing, then they see your truck, then they connect the two and say, oh, he's my neighbor, so I'm going to do business with him. How to become part of that community? I believe the quickest way to do that is with truck routes. There's some good ways to do it and some bad ways to do it. I mean, this will get your community to talk about you, but not necessarily in a good way. Can you imagine delegating your employees to, today you're driving the poopy truck, right?
Yeah.
So while I believe is doing things, the most of it in a correct way, but I believe they're doing some things that are hurting them, and I'm not sure that they understand it. First of all, 1-800-WHY-1-DAY. So they're creating a lot of work for themselves. In my opinion, when you create a call center, as you mentioned, creating a lot of work, right? Yes, a lot of the clients, the older clients especially, are lazy. Get me somebody out here, get me a quote, get me this, get me that, and so on. So now you've got people like Robin on the phone trying to get all this information, trying to get pictures, trying to get their address, trying to get everything. And sometimes by trying to simplify things, we're complicating things. Okay. I believe if they pushed their website more, and by the way, the website I don't think is correct because it doesn't have painting in it. They're in the painting business. And when a search term
It's a much higher ranking.
Exactly. Okay. So if they had painting in there, even though it becomes longer, it would rank higher. So I'm assuming they have other feeder sites to their main site.
Yeah.
The colors are pretty bright, but I would say this design is just above average. It's not, even though their company name is Wow, I don't get a lot of wow from this truck, right?
It's also a misnomer. They don't actually paint in one day. And I know several painters who work for them and they don't actually do it in one day.
Not even small jobs.
No, it's impossible. They paint in one day. They do the days before that, they do all the prep so that they
Right.
can tell you painting in one day.
Yeah. But I'm sure if they really worked on it, because if you're only doing 3 bedrooms or whatever it is, I don't know what the average job is, but I
Yeah.
don't think the average job is painting the whole house. I would assume the average job is painting a bedroom, painting an office, painting the living room, and I'm sure you could use a fast drying putty and fast drying primer and paint the same day if you wanted to.
Oh, there are definitely processes to do things like that in a day. We do that all the time.
Yeah. So I think there's some things that you're doing that are very correct, like the wow, because the wow sets an expectation, right? It says, we promise you, you call us, you're going to be impressed. Okay. So I
Yep.
believe that the wow part of their brand is the reason they're doing $100 million. Okay. They're
Mhm.
creating a lot of work for themselves and frustrating the clients because I believe they should be sending them directly to the website because they're going to go there anyways, right?
Mhm.
You should give them an option, either call or the website first or call. Then that way, if they're lazy, they're on the road, they're going to call. If they're in front of a computer, they're going to go to the website and fill out the form and send pictures and do everything that needs to be done that the form requires or asks.
Yeah.
Right. But I believe the main point that I want to emphasize is this wow. If the wow wasn't in the name and it was one day painting, I think they would lose some of that trust factor or trust
Mhm.
factor. Okay. So we'll come back to that. This is one of your older trucks, is it?
Yeah, that's our first design.
Okay. So I would say this is slightly above average. You're pushing people. The phone number is very big, so it tells me you want me to call you, even though you have the website here, but the phone number stands over the website, and that's fine. This one here is a concept that we like for you, and we've started to test this. And the reason why I like this design is the 3D contractor. And by the way, we can cut it along the roof line in case you wanted to tip it down to get into a garage. But when you see this driving on Highway 401 or the DVP or anywhere in the city, this is going to catch attention. Do you agree with that?
Yep.
Okay. Now, it's pretty clear what we want you to do, right? WowOneDayContractor.com is pretty clear what we want you to do. Okay. It grabs attention. It has the wow factor to say, hey, you're going to be impressed with the work that we do for you. And it's clear what the call to action is. Go to our website, book a meeting, and we'll come out to you. Okay. We've tested. We are in the process of testing other colors. And by the way, this is the TV screens and the sirens and so on. This is for a door knocking campaign. And what we've done with other companies is we rent these vehicles to courier companies, drive up and down Highway 401 or DVP, whatever the area is. And so far, the highest call volume is 20 calls per day. Okay. So when you think about how much marketing you have to do in order to get 20 calls per day, and we have a roofing company doing a door knocking campaign, and their highest sales are 37 roofs at an average of 15 to 17,000 per roof, 37 roofs on one street.
That's amazing.
So I'm
That seems like branded like the professionalroofers.com company.
right. We tested a lot of different, you can see my cursor, right?
Yeah.
Okay. We've tested a lot of different cartoon characters. This one so far is testing above everyone else.
Okay.
This TV alone is about $4,500. It's a two-sided TV. It's the same TV that they use on billboards. And the sound system, there's a speaker system. We have what we call drive time, and it's a pre-recorded service. We've hired an impressionist that does Ronald Reagan, does Trump, does a number of characters. And when the courier company is driving around, I forget what we call the program, traffic radio or something like that, where the van is driving along the video in traffic and calls out, the gray Audi at the back, and talks, asks them a question about whatever, and to call a number and win $100 or something. It's pre-recorded because obviously we want the driver to pay attention to traffic, because or else you'd get arrested. But it sounds like it's a live radio, and people are looking around looking for the gray Audi, right?
Yeah.
So those are some of the programs that I think you should use. And the idea came to us, if you recall the ice cream truck. Whenever you heard the ice cream truck, you would run out as a kid.
Yep.
We
the sharpening guy too, right?
Sorry?
The sharpening, the knife sharpening?
Exactly, the bell guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you hear those sounds, and I think a door knocking campaign is especially crucial for you, because everyone has something around their house they would love to be fixed, right?
We have had success with those before. You are correct. They're very good.
And if you partner with, let's say, a roofing company, other companies that do the things you can't do, and you get a referral fee from them or something, the referrals alone will pay for your campaign. And I believe that's something we should start in the spring to get you, going with 10 or 15 trucks early. So this is why planning is crucial. So this is Wow One Day Contractor.
Yep.
We have a few other. This is another color combination, which I like, by the way. And this color is testing better than the red. And we would still use the same cartoon character. We haven't added him to this design yet. One Day Reno is another name I think you should do. And what I'm thinking is that you stay with Odd Jobs as your main company, or you create a holding company that manages all these different brands.
Yeah, that's what I was planning, with a holding company to manage the operational companies. I was actually just talking to my lawyer about that an hour before this call.
Okay. So Wow One Day Reno tests well as well. And by the way, we have about 10,000 names that we've pre-registered like this. And these are the top 4 or 5 that I'm showing you. Wow Reno Pros. Again, the wow I believe is crucial because it sets the expectation, sets the promise. And we're using the pink. Now you can see the character in the pink. And I think pink stands out. Red is more common. And I think you want to stand out as much as possible. So again, the TVs, you can, you would put on special vehicles that do the jazz festivals and the rib festivals and, you know, the different events around the city. And you would put this somewhere and offer, you know, a huge discount or a draw for a TV or a draw for, you know, a deck fixed or whatever it is to get attention. Wow, Rent-A-Pro is another name that I love, and all these we can test. So we've got Rent-A-Pro, we've got Reno Pros, One Day Reno, and One Day Contractor. Out of all those four, which one do you like so far?
It would be the first one. However, my concern is that I'm not at the current state. Currently, we don't do contracting. And so I don't want, if we're doing one-day jobs, contractor is kind of the exact opposite of that.
Well, one-day contractor, doesn't that say small jobs?
No, contractor usually means big jobs. Like contractor, come reno my house, come build me a new deck. Hand denotes small jobs under something under a day.
Okay. We have we have
just some feedback about that. And the word reno completely is opposite of handyman as well, because renovation, we're not redoing people's interiors, we're just solving their simple problems. And while I do want to silo down some specific categories like the painting and the one day, well, they're more based on really high margin repairs we do, like what's one of them? People's dishwasher always tipping forward and becoming out of alignment with the front of their thing. It costs me about $15 to do that, and I can charge over $150 to do that, and it takes 15 minutes.
Right.
Signature services. I have about, like I said, 9 to 10 of those that are in those kind of margin rates. There are things that people just don't know how to fix. They seem far more complicated than they actually are, and I've got a very systemized way of doing them.
Okay.
And I think that this type of branding is exactly the way to hit that type of market and channel massive amounts of revenue down those simple, exactly what you were saying this morning, but with just simpler, very high margin services.
Right. So keep in mind, any type of branding is going to have an explanation. Install a dishwasher or fix your dishwasher as a special. Install your TV. And I believe the best way to do that is with stepping stone relationships. So in other words, I think we should create a campaign on LinkedIn to target real estate agents, interior designers, mortgage brokers, home inspectors, and so on. So let's talk about real estate agents.
They're a great resource. We have a few brokerages that we are connected with where we're allowed to go to like the real estate opens. We've been doing those for about 7 years. We get a massive amount of interest, hand out a ton of amount of cards. Maybe it's just the way we're selling it. We get the rate on return is not as great as I would have liked to expect yet. Maybe it's just the amount of competition or sometimes it's the turnaround. And my focus is really trying to sell it to businesses.
I understand that.
I am a line item in their expenses, not something I have to convince them to do.
Right, I understand. The business side is, I believe, is still through LinkedIn.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's a different strategy. To give you an example of what I'm referring to, I have a client running a painting business that does $10 million, and I would say 95% of his clients are real estate agents. Mm-hmm. So all repeat business. He focuses on real estate agents. Sometimes he gives them a kickback, even though he's not supposed to. But $10 million speaks volumes, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you scale this quickly, how do you and this has been one of my good, how are they mitigating quality and having enough people to deal with the vastly increased amount of orders?
Well, you do it slowly. You do it, you don't make promises. You say, we might be able to take your business next month or the month after, but you do not make promises. Um, but when you design an aggressive marketing system, you're also using statistics to know what this type of marketing produces in terms of results, right?
Mhm.
And you have, let's say, 2 or 3 months of history, and if you increase the budget, or you increase the number of emails you send out, you know what kind of increase it's going to be, and you can
Yep.
predict how many trucks you're going to need in 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, marketing math essentially. You
Yeah.
go, yeah, I understand exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Um, okay, yeah.
So, and obviously corporate is a different strategy, but creating that community feel, the truck wraps, I believe, should be, the third or the fourth line item on your aggressive marketing system, because otherwise, if they don't see you as part of their community, the
Mhm.
the marketing efforts can fall flat.
Yeah.
Right? You need to be part of the community. And that's why I believe the trucks need to be very visible, very present, and people, snap their necks saying, what the hell did I just see? Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we
I
create,
completely agree. They need to really turn heads.
yeah. And if we create a couple of fender benders because of our trucks, oh well. Okay. You have to go.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's just what is that message they're turning their head for?
Okay.
So if you were having a contractor come or a handyman, it was only a 1 day project, how many days would you wait to look for another service?
Um,
I don't think I can book people 2 or 3 months. Say wait 2 to 3 months. That's another caveat of this industry.
what I'm talking about is the stepping stone relationships with the real estate agents, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you would say, well, I would love to do business with you, but we cannot handle you right now. So please do not mention me to your clients for another 2 months or whatever it is. I'll give you the signal when you can start pushing our services. We need to get trucks ready and so on, because it's an advantage to them by promoting you, because they're helping their clients and they're looking good in front of their clients, which means they get more business by promoting you.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I want to enhance their brand and vice versa.
Yeah, exactly. And most real estate agents make less than $30,000 a year. So you don't want those, you want the top producers.
Yeah.
Right. So, I believe I mentioned before that we have a mortgage broker that does 200 million on LinkedIn with trusted circles. So these concepts really work when you're helping other people. So part of this process, when we start designing your aggressive marketing system, part of that will be 2 or 3 assistants doing a lot of this stuff, responding to emails from mortgage brokers or business owners or posts on LinkedIn and stuff like that. But when you have a strong brand, that strong brand will produce faster results, better results a lot quicker.
Yeah. And by strong brand, it seems like you meaning like a quick gut reaction from the person to take action.
Yeah, because they see it as something different. They see it as something that is trustworthy. They see it as a franchise. And as soon as people see a franchise, they say, okay, I'm safe, because they don't want to screw up their reputation. So
Yeah.
the word franchise is crucial, because it's going to attract a lot of quality employees as a byproduct of an efficient marketing system. So you want to have a waiting list of employees that want to work for you, right? And it's just a matter of, leasing I would suggest a used vehicle, because you don't want to tie up your money with new vehicles, and insurance and everything else is higher. So we have companies that will find you used vehicles, lease you the vehicle so you can write it off 100%,
Yeah.
and the wrap is part of the lease.
Well, yeah, that's exactly how I've done the leases and the wraps that I currently have.
Okay, great. Then that way you keep the cash in the company as operating capital.
Yeah. I agree. It's like we have the same brain. You're just have a little bit more of all the answers around the outside of it, and exactly what I've been thinking of. This is exactly what I've been trying to achieve in the long run. And I've been trying to build the brand as it is, as a corporate-y, franchisey looking thing, which is why it looks the way it does, because it does create a lot of trust as it is right now. And we do attract a lot of business customers. So I think it's just about taking it to that next level, and creating a brand that attracts both sides of the equation. I don't want to look too homeownery, because they're really not the people. I feel there's a balance between making it looking like it's too much of a homeowner's brand that will actually turn off business owners.
A corporate brand, yeah. But
Yeah.
then again, you could have a different brand focusing on business owners. We've worked on 8 franchise concepts from scratch. The first time that I did it, I had 22 different brands for one company. 22.
That's what I've been thinking is required.
Yeah. It's expensive, but if you're focusing on different markets, because I hate leaving money on the table. I really hate leaving money on the table. So,
Can I send you a list of what our 9 signature service hours that I know we're able to leverage the most profitability out of? So you can look at what those are, and you can think of those in terms of a branding as well. And if they're either together, subbed into boxes, or individualized themselves.
yeah, absolutely.
On top of the bigger brand that you're speaking of, the one-day contractor.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I also understand your concern, and there's got to be a way for us to test whether they would hire a one-day contractor to fix your deck or to fix their doorknob on the kitchen door, or the drawer that keeps falling off its slide or something.
There's a company in the United States, because I was following them. All they do is replace damaged interior doors, which is actually one of our signature services. I was going to send you a list of just swapping it in and out or making small repairs to it. They
Yeah.
make over $1 million. They make over $3 million a year doing that one service.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, keep in mind what you've done with Odd Job, right? Odd Job, without marketing preceding Odd Job, really doesn't say very much. What's an odd job? Are we talking about, grass cutting? Are we talking about, raking leaves?
Well, that's the problem with it. It's too generic.
Yeah. So the marketing piece that shows Odd Job is really the selling point, right? So when you're promoting fixing a deck or staining a deck or installing a dishwasher or a TV or something, they understand what it is. Then they look at the URL and say, okay, I got it. Right? So I wouldn't put it too much about what the consumer will accept and won't accept. Because when you look at Monster, it really doesn't say very much.
You mean the human resources website?
Yeah. Or Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really? Not congruent with what they do.
Sorry?
Their name is not in line with what they do. They've chosen a like McDonald's, right? You can do anything. In fact, that's the appeal of it.
Right. But the marketing and the branding they've done, is synonymous with their name. Yeah. While one-day contractor could be synonymous with commercial or residential.
Yeah.
Right? Depending on how you push it. Now, keep in mind, the branding for companies is going to be done on LinkedIn, is going to be done on certain platforms to appeal to a commercial clientele.
Yep.
So, what are your thoughts so far?
I mean, I'm in alignment with everything you're kind of saying. There's just the details to work out. We actually, a lot of the initiatives you spoke of, I began in some small pieces, like this LinkedIn campaign we began 2 years ago at the beginning of the pandemic. I actually had an assistant, and all she did was connect to but we searched based on our 10,000 customer base, what were the most reoccurring job titles of people who work in offices that contacted us. And then we searched for all those job titles in LinkedIn, and we started connecting with them. And I get about 50 or 60 additional connections a week because of that process. And then I just got busy and I wasn't able to actually launch an actual campaign to target all these people. They also have just going back to the office right now, so it hasn't been timely either.
Right. So
but yeah, I agree with everything.
Okay. Has it been mainly offices or more on the manufacturing side of things, or is
it's a lot of today we had we get capital invest that was a mining firm that you went to, but it could have easily been a capital investment company or a marketing firm or a high-end software company. So it's companies where their office has to look nice because the people who come in, it really matters.
Okay, so it's mainly the
image matters, and that's what I'm going to show off.
Okay. I'm also thinking that your warehouse should be somewhere around 400 and 401.
That's interesting. I know that I if we look at the map of our client base, it's mostly I do love data, so I have all this data. It's mostly in the below Eglinton. This is currently between High Park, Don Valley, and the lake, and then there's a strip that goes right up Yonge Street between Bathurst and Mount Pleasant up to Steeles.
Okay.
And then there's a bigger chunk, and there's a chunk over by the airport because of that extra wealthy neighborhood just below the airport, and a little bit in the Post Road area.
Okay.
I haven't had a lot of calls north of 401, but that doesn't mean an entire different branding thing doesn't change all of that. And it's only because of the capacity and the volume of individuals I have. But being up there would make it easier for people to go to work, or if they came from home, because most people live up there and they actually find it a challenge to get to my office.
Yeah. And I think that challenge to get you to a client, I mean, this is all something we need to discuss for the future. But when you have 50 vehicles you need to park, right? Where are you going to park 50 vehicles?
Well, my goal is that my franchises were actually like owner-operator franchises, and they were a little more directly involved. They even maybe had a profit-sharing stake in some kind of award thing around them, so they all in the community. But that they just parked them at their homes, and they were leased vehicles, and we were a leasing company, and we made money back off of them, giving them the vehicle to go do the work.
Okay. Do you want to keep operating as your own business, or you want to flip to franchising?
I felt it had to be both. I needed a bit of a corporate to deal with some of the variability that I'll never get rid of, that because the franchisees can take care of all the consistency.
Okay. All right.
Is for them, but all the things that are already happening are for the corporate side.
I believe a brand like Wild One Day Contractor can be $100 million company. I strongly believe that, because if we learn everything that Wild One Day Painting is doing and fix their mistakes, I believe. And besides, painting is a lower margin product. You're getting a lot more revenue streams, which means you can recycle a client multiple times. One day they need painting, the next day they need, to fix a floor or a deck or a fence or whatever it is. So you're recycling a client year after year after year.
Right? And I can resell between all my different brands for all their different issues.
Exactly. So if Wild One Day can get to 100 million, I think you have 10 times the opportunity to do better than they do, because you can have multiple streams of income. So I'm really excited about that brand.
Yeah, me as well. I agree, and I think focusing on these other items, things that are not a commodity in construction, like painting or just plumbing or just electrical, but finding the niche specialty request to promote in that brand will make it $100 million company. I agree.
Okay. So what we're going to do next is I'm going to put all 6 pictures on one picture, number them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, including your current truck, and post it on social media and have people vote on which one they like best. Then based
All right.
on those results, then you can decide which way you want to go forward and put priority on whichever one. So that's generally how we work. If you have other ideas, I'm willing to, of course, listen. What else?
I know. I think that's a great idea. I'd only ask that one of the 5 that are not my own is branded in the colors I currently use. I did a lot of color research, and green really is a color of trust and connection with people. I really do value research as well. So the research I have developed everything I have, but I know that people really do trust our website, and I think a lot of it does come from the layout and the coloring and stuff. So maybe one of those designs could be in that, just to see what you get.
Of course. The only picture I had another picture of one of your trucks. I couldn't find it for some reason. So
I'll find. I'll send you again.
yeah, please. And I'll include it in that. Where do you want to be in the order? Do you want to be first, middle, last?
It should be like 5th or something. You shouldn't be in the first row.
Okay. So 5th. Okay. That's fine. Let me do that. Again, I want to emphasize, it doesn't matter what you and I think
I know
about the brand. It only matters what the end consumer feels about trust in it, that it creates. So,
and that's exactly why mine is the way it is now, because I agree with you as well. And my research led me to that. But let's see where we get now. Let's see what the change is. I love it.
okay. All right, let's leave it here. I need to jump
Yep.
on the call. Let's talk
Thank
in
you.
a couple of days. Send me that truck and we'll start doing some testing. If you
Thank
come
you,
up
Leo.
with any other ideas in terms of brands, maybe we already have them. Like I said, we
Yeah.
have about 10,000 names. We went through the ones that I felt were the best and we're going to test the best. But if you have an idea, try not to search for it, because companies like GoDaddy and a couple of other companies, when they see someone searching a name, they have a bot that registers that name then tries to sell it to you. So be careful when you do searches, especially if you do it more than once. If you do handyman for a day or something like that, or handy Andy for a day, you do it more than a couple of variations, they will grab all of them. So be careful.
Interesting. Good to know. And I'll also send you I have 2 or 3 other domain names I've already acquired for very low dollars. I'll just add those in the email in the list as well.
Okay, sounds good. We'll talk
Okay,
again.
thank you.
Thanks,
Ciao.
Jeff. Bye-bye.
Bye.